AWARD is an acronym. It stands for the Association for Water and Rural Development. We've been around for about 20 years. We're a non-profit and we work at a whole range of scales, right from community level right up to policy imperatives between different countries, mainly Mozambique and South Africa, and for example water sharing agreements between those neighbouring countries. We've worked largely on water until the last 3 years, and now we've been working more closely on issues of climate change and on the association between natural resources degradation and people's livelihoods, and what the impacts might be of climate change on that particular complicated story.
So much of what AWARD is doing currently in the Olifants Basin is really trying to develop the capacities of both individuals and institutions to actually take action. The sorts of things that have happened in the Olifants is really a product of many decades of development decisions, mining, maybe some farming practices that have been quite aggressive. And at the end of the day, these have actually just created a situation where there is a lot more waste in the catchment than we know how to deal with it, both from mines, both from domestic sewage, and then even from agricultural chemicals that have been overutilized that make their way into the river and at the end of the day affect people living there. You're not going to get very much right unless you are going to get people on board to help you rectify it, because one person can't do this alone.
I'm Eddie Riddell. I'm the Water Resources Manager in the Kruger National Park. So in the Olifants catchment, it's our largest catchment and it's the powerhouse catchment of South Africa really. And because of that, it brings quite a lot of challenges and problems, mainly related to water quality, pollution throughout the catchment, as well as presently in the drought conditions, the challenges with low flow. To maintain the river's flow during these drought conditions is proving interesting. It's a challenge, but we think we can manage to get through it. But in particular, it's working with other organizations such as the Resilim O program that really assist us in bringing in new skills and technology to alleviate some of the challenges we have.
We have a freshwater team in the Kruger National Park consisting of the river manager, a freshwater ecologist and then a river technician. And it's my function to coordinate the river flow and quality monitoring in the Kruger National Park. This is one of our biomonitoring sites in the Olifants River where we take regular water quality samples. We also do SAS, which is insect monitoring, that we look at all the water insects and then you can determine what the health of the river is. We also take quality readings like the electrical conductivity and the dissolved oxygen. The data is actually, it belongs to Waterfresh as they do the analysis. We use it to compare it against a set of TPCs that we have. The TPC stands for Threshold of Potential Concern. So if a TPC is then reached, that we see there's a problem, we can then contact the authorities, Waterfresh in this case mostly, to come and investigate what is the possible cause of the problem.
So catchments are interesting because they tend to span political boundaries. What's particularly interesting is that they tend to link societies that live across those different divides in ways that are quite unique and quite special. And unfortunately, our governance systems tend to put in these false borders or false boundaries that often mean that there's a disconnect between cause and effect. So if you're living upstream in the Olifants catchment, you might be part of a system that is causing, in this case, particular water quality issues and particular changes to flow. But the impacts then get felt far downstream, well into the Kruger National Park and then again into Mozambique.
These sectors organize themselves. They have farming unions, the mining sector organizes itself, business community has chambers of commerce, and of course you need to find a plan to interact with all those different groups. And it's really not that easy because often different sectors work on their own, they don't share their plans, and you end up in these situations like the Olifants catchment where as the population grows, as economic activities grow, they sometimes start to conflict with each other, and then somebody has got to step in to resolve or mediate that. And the Resilim O program is really spending a lot of time really trying to say, how can we talk to each other We understand there's pressure on the system. So one of the biggest challenges that the program has really is to mix a whole lot of mechanisms. And then the big thing is, what are we going to do about it?
These kind of problems really do need collective action, and they do need sustained support. They do need different actors, different sectors to acknowledge some of the damaging actions that they're having, and saying to people, this is the place you live in. You can make a difference, and we need collective action to address that.